I love to see the towns passing by and to ride these rails neath God's blue sky. Let me travel this land from the mountains to the sea, 'cause that's the life I believe He meant for me. And when I'm gone and at my grave you stand, say God called home your rambling man.
Welcome to Ramblin' Man Podcast, episode number 110. This one's with Diahn Ott, and we kind of talk about art and pottery. She does a little bit of everything, so kind of all falls within that. It was a great chat. Great to have Diahn on. Look at that. I'm a poet. I didn't even know it. If you'd like to learn more about her, you can find her on our website, diahnottstudio.com. Now let me spell that for you. DIAHNOTTSTUDIO. And then you can find her on Instagram at just Diahn, DIAHN. Give her a follow on there. Tell her Ramblin' Man sent you. And make sure to check out her shop on her website. There's some really cool stuff on there. And I don't want to spoil it. There's something that is on every single product she makes, which I think we get to towards the end. But it's great having her on. I appreciate her being on. Sponsor this week is Giahn. Giahn is a graphic design, illustration, and social media consultation company based here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Though they do work for clients big and small all over the country, all over the globe, in fact. But they also do photography, videography, video editing, and audio editing, website design, SEO, writing, content development. Hell, they'll babysit your kids if it nets them money. So make sure you give them a follow on social media on either Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or LinkedIn at @FeralGiant. And be sure to give them an email today and hire them for your next project. Without much further ado, here's the episode. There is no order. You've listened to an episode.
Yeah.
Before. Okay, thank God. I was like, I've had some people and they're like, nope, didn't get a chance to. I was like, okay. And they're like, why are we not answering questions? I was like, okay, it's just us bullshitting.
That's right. Shh. Are you picking that up? Is that too much?
It's totally fine.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if this will be the first dogs on the podcast. Maybe? I don't know. That's a good question. Somebody listening at home, if you answer that correctly, I will send you a prize.
There you go.
Is this the first time dogs have been on the podcast? Now, I'm not saying what that prize will be, but here's a question I do not know. Are you originally from here? Wait, we may have said this on the radio show, but it's different. So
I am not.
You are not.
But I've lived here almost 23 years, so
that's right.
I almost count as a native.
Yeah, that's how it's interesting how the city has switched in the time that I've lived here all my life. Mm-hmm. When I was growing up, it was a college town.
Yeah.
And people would stay. But now, it seems like college is like number 4 on the list. It's not as...
What's number 1?
I don't know. But I just don't... I don't feel like we get referred to as a college town that much anymore.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely moved. When we first moved here, I think even... So 23 years ago, it definitely was. That was pretty much the whole vibe.
Town.
Yeah.
And now I keep hearing... more and more about how we're going to get bigger and bigger.
Oh my gosh. Well, if you know, the amount of building that's going on housing wise has anything to do with it, then yeah, I guess we are. It's crazy.
I heard this is wildly, I have no receipts to back any of this up, mm-hmm. but I heard out near Pellissippi that there would be 800,000 new. And I don't know if they meant homes or residents. And if they meant residents, like average out a home has 4 people living in it.
Right.
That's the only way I can see that working.
Well, that would make sense. I drive through there a lot on my way to my mom's house, and everywhere that was just beautiful pastoral grazing land is now a giant subdivision with houses. You can't see this in a podcast, but this far apart.
Yeah. That always drives me nuts. I was like, I shouldn't be able to reach out my window and tap on my neighbor's window.
Well, I remember when I was growing up, our neighborhood was kind of like that, and my parents' bedroom window faced our neighbor's bedroom window, and it was constant hearing them fight. They had a very argumentative relationship.
I remember there was one point where we moved. We only moved once when I was a kid, and we went and looked at a house, and my parents really liked it a lot. But the only way to get to the garage that was detached in the back was to drive in between the 2 houses, and it was too small for either one of my parents' cars.
Oh my gosh.
Because my dad drove a big Bronco from like the late 70s, early 80s, and my mom drove an old Cadillac. So like neither car would fit, and they were like, this is too close. We don't need to be this close to other people. They're like, love the house. And every time I walk a lot in my neighborhood and I see that house all the time, I was like, that's the one. That's the one. But it is weird. Yeah, 800,000 people, because they were saying the school out there is already like 600 people over.
They're already putting out, I noticed, the temporary kind of buildings, the external buildings that they put out at schools. They're already doing that, I think, at the middle school that they just built in the last 2 years.
No planning, no thought.
No.
And I heard the other thing I heard is that McGee Tyson will be an international airport in the next 5 years, which is why they are doing all that work on Alcoa Highway, because they're prepping for when. I
thought that's just what Knoxville did, was work on Alcoa Highway all the time. It's been under construction for 23 years.
Oh, I laughed that in 1997 when I met my buddy Greg, who lived in Madisonville. I can remember you hit the Maryville city line and drove to Madisonville, and it was all 2 lanes. And they were just starting to work to widen it to 4 lanes. Yeah. And now you drive down that, and I was like, this took like 10 years to widen this to 4 lanes. And there's nothing out here but farmland.
No. Yeah.
I was like, I can't imagine.
Very
well,
strange.
we're also laughing at how on Broadway, the overpass between Balter and Carm, that is still like 2 years out. And my uncle the other day was like, how much longer are they going to be working?
And it's been at least a couple of years, right? Has it been
4
3?
years,
I knew
maybe?
it'd been at least 2.
Well, it's the same thing with the 2 ramps coming up from the old city. Those things took 2 or 3 years. It was like, what? Let's get done, guys.
I love watching videos from like the Netherlands where they come in and they take out a bridge and they put in a bridge, and it's like a day.
Yeah,
like, zoop, all done.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't think Knoxville's no longer. Here, I'm going to use a joke. I don't have enough energy to do this joke properly from one of my favorite podcasts. Give us a call at 591-ROCK, 591-ROLL, and tell us what you think Knoxville is most. I don't know what Knoxville is. I don't know. For just being Knoxville, I don't know. Because I don't think it's really food. I don't think it's the Sun Sphere. I think it's just, it's just less, that's the college town. Yeah. Anymore.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know.
Well, it is what it is, right? I mean, there's no way to take it back. You just have to move forward. I see a lot of people complaining on the various neighborhood websites about the progress. Like, well, what do you?
Yeah.
If you don't like it, you can leave, but I just don't see any reason to complain about it.
Well, the housing process is what I see with all my friends. Because all my friends are so excited that like, oh my God, I could sell my house for this much money now. It's like, and where are you going to go?
That's the thing. Because we've talked about it. We're like, man, I mean, housing prices have gone so far up, but you can't buy a house in this town. I don't understand who's able to buy the houses, because they're constantly
California, Florida, and New Jersey.
I guess so.
I just saw in a group on Facebook a woman moving here from California and was asking for like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment
And they're like, good luck finding one for less than $2,000. She was like, that's still half what I pay in California. So that's fine. I was like, you can visit. You can't stay.
That's
you got to
right.
go.
Yeah.
I've started telling people, I was like, man, I'd really love you to come here, but you have to leave. I can't deal with you staying in my city. What did your folks do for a living?
My dad was in the Air Force for 20 years. And then when he retired at the ripe old age of 39, he worked in the oil field. And we lived in Louisiana. That's where he retired. And so he did that for a long time. He was also a pilot, a private pilot. He didn't fly in the Air Force because his vision wasn't good enough.
Okay.
But he did become a private pilot, and so he flew all over the place. He flew some really cool people.
Oh, okay.
He flew Mean Joe Green of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and
when Mean Joe Green got off the plane, did he turn around and throw a jersey at him?
Probably. Here you go, kid.
That's so easy.
And he flew Andre the Giant, who at the time was a wrestler, and we had pretty big wrestling in Shreveport, Louisiana. That was a big deal.
I almost wore my Andre the Giant hoodie.
Yeah.
God, I love
cool.
Andre the Giant.
He said he was
much.
such a nice guy, but my dad flew a twin turbo prop plane. And so it's not it seats about 12 people, it's a small plane. And so they had to take out almost all of the seats except the large bench seat for Andre to sit in because of the weight distribution. You couldn't have any of the other seats in there.
I didn't even think about that. I'm like,
so
man,
big.
I have a hard time getting on a flight. I can't believe Andre is like, oh yeah, weight too.
Yeah, exactly. And then he flew Terry Bradshaw a lot. Terry was from Louisiana, and so they were kind of buddies, and so that was pretty cool. And then later on, he became a gunsmith. When he retired, that's what he did up until he passed. He made guns and carved the stocks and fixed a lot of guns for people. And then my mom was a stay-at-home mom until I was in high school, and then she started working as a secretary. Okay. And then she worked at the University of Alabama as a administrative assistant for a long, long time.
I'm trying not to make a crappy comment. Well, at least it's not Florida. That's one
right.
thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
There are worse places.
My grandfather on my mom's side was from like Birmingham, like hardcore dyed in the wool, but he worked here for the city in the parks department, I think. He died a year before I was born, so I know very little about him. But he would come to every football game. He loved UT football, or he loved football. And every game he would wear an orange an orange blazer. Yeah. But except for when they play Alabama, and he broke out that crimson. And he's like, all the people that were used to him were like, man, he's like, I'm from Alabama. Yeah. What do you expect?
I went to Alabama, and I have my paper. I have 2 papers from there, but it's one of those, you just have to root for them. I don't give 2 flips about football. Not even a little bit. Don't care. Don't care. But, when you come around UT people, you have to just say, yeah, I'm from Alabama. Now, when we first moved here, Alabama was not winning. No. Tennessee was winning, and it was a terrible time to be a Alabama fan in Knoxville.
I think that's why I don't care anymore about Alabama. I don't hate Saban. I don't hate it because he's pompous, but he deserves to be.
Well,
he's one. Whereas I think a lot of the other coaches are such arrogant asshats. Yeah. That it's like, no, I don't like them because I don't like Georgia and Florida are the 2 worst of just like, y'all are terrible people. Like Saban, I don't care. Like I think Saban doesn't care at this point.
Why would he?
No.
That man has done everything he needed to do and more, and has all the money to prove it. Yeah.
And he doesn't want to play golf as much as Steve Spurrier, so he's like, I'll just keep doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh God, Alabama. I hate Georgia so much. I was actually rooting for Alabama in that game. Yeah. Yeah,
I had a feeling it was going to go that way. I just had it deep in my soul. I knew that Georgia was going to pull that one out.
I will say, and we will get off of sports talk. Over the years, Alabama fans have gotten better, but Georgia fans, Auburn fans, Florida fans have gotten so bad.
Yeah.
They're so, because I go to every game with my dad.
Yeah.
And they're such awful people. They're such awful people.
Well, I would agree with you about Auburn.
Like Auburn, it's painful because it's like, y'all are like rednecks with money. You gotta calm down, man.
The thing that we used to say when I was in school there, and pretty sure I had a bumper sticker at one point, was Obs eat boogers. And that's all you need to know about them is
Obs eat boogers.
Everything you need to know.
I know some Auburn fans. That checks out. that is applicable. So would your mom being, do you have any brothers or sisters?
I had an older brother who was 3 years older than me. He passed away when he was 23.
Oh, wow. And
then I have a sister who's 9 years younger. So we have a lot in common.
My sister's 11 and a half years younger than me. Yeah. So it's funny.
It's just a different, like a whole different family.
What unpaid babysitting.
Yeah.
When I was a kid.
From the time I was 9. Exactly. Bye.
Yeah.
That's, moms in the 70s. I know I'm a little older than you, but moms in the 70s were like, I'm going whatever shopping.
Oh.
Bye.
Oh, my grandparents lived like 3 blocks away.
Oh no, we lived so far away from everybody because my dad was in the Air Force. We never lived around family.
True.
We had, some family friends here and there, but it was just not a big deal. You just left your kids and we set things on fire. It was great.
Stuff when I was 7 or 8.
Oh, yeah.
But it was funny. Like they would drop me off. I would say growing up from up until like 10 when they let me start staying home alone, I spent more weekends at my grandparents' than I spent at home.
Yeah.
For like 10 straight years.
Yeah.
Like almost every weekend I was at my grandparents' house.
That's very cool. I never had that. I mean, I have good memories of my grandparents, but it's always, at Christmas or in the summer. There's no real consistent thing for both sets of grandparents because they lived in Alabama and we were all over the place. And it's been the same raising my own kids. My parents and my husband's parents are both in Alabama. My mom's here now, but my kids were growing up. They just had us.
Well, I'm more laughing at my parents were out partying every week. I more was falling in line with that of them partying. I remember there were times where I would stay up there and just they would show up, and I'm sure. Maybe I need to cut this out. I'm sure they had a beer or two.
Yeah.
And they were picking me up at my grandparents and just, I don't know. It's so funny. So with them, older brother, much younger sister. Mm-hmm. Was art a thing in your house growing up? Was your mom into art?
Yeah, my mom was very much into any kind of art or crafts. Yeah. She was a seamstress. She sewed all of my clothes until I got probably to high school. And she did a lot of quilting and she did some painting here and there. My dad always did some photography they both were musicians.
Hey, buddy.
And so arts were very important to our family for sure growing up. My brother took all the art classes in high school and everything, and he was a very good artist. I took music classes. I never took any art classes. We had to choose. We didn't have the opportunity to do one or to do both. We had to do one or the other. So I did music.
My parents let me fail at a lot of things when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Like I did Cub Scouts for like 2 years.
Yeah.
Taekwondo for like a year and a half, and there just came a point I was like, I'm done. They're like, okay. They weren't mad. I think maybe they were. I don't know, but it was just funny. It was like, no, they let me try things and see what I found that I liked.
Right.
Instead.
Yeah, and my parents were really good at once you kind of seem to really enjoy something or show some skill at something. They were very good at sort of drawing that out and encouraging you to follow that.
Okay. Sports, did they try to encourage?
Not so much sports. They weren't sporty people. And that never was super important to us. I played softball with the church like all 7th grade girls did because we didn't have anything else to do. But no, I didn't do a lot of sports.
Oh, yep. Oh,
You want me to
I'm
get
gonna
him?
switch. Nope, I'm gonna just switch knees.
He'll just switch knees too. Jasper.
Jasper loves the Zoom H6 that I have. He's a big fan.
Come lay down, buddy.
I'll stop petting you so you'll.
I'm afraid he's going to trip over the cord.
Oh, buddy.
Come on. Let's go out this way. Go lay down. Good boy.
There you go.
All right.
Jasper's a good boy. Okay. So you lean more towards music, but you still did art or still did. Oh, there we go. You still did art even though you were really into music.
Yeah, like I said, I never had any kind of formal lessons, but I was always drawing something.
Okay.
I used to do a lot of house plans. I would like draw out my architectural plans for my dream house.
Okay.
And anything that I could do to create, I've been doing since I was as small as I can remember, really.
So it wasn't like you came back to it. It's just always kind of been there.
It's always been there. I think I left it behind for a while when I went to college because I felt like I needed to be serious and, do something worth my
and
while.
And now you realize I didn't need to be that serious in college. Good Lord.
But I did come back to it eventually.
Okay. Do you still do music or did you? I
haven't in a while. I still play around every now and then. This bone. It gets right up next to my chair and it gets real loud. Right there, Charlie. Come on.
There you go, buddy.
But it's not been, it's hard to fit into everything else, all of those things. But I sang and played piano and a little guitar. I have a ukulele. That's my favorite right now because it's easy.
That was one thing I did not take up as a kid that I wish I would have taken up. Never learned really. I played saxophone for a couple years. That was in another one of those like
try it out
things. And I remember getting yelled at by my teacher in elementary school because apparently me and one of the other guys were joking around or something. And he yelled at us and said, "If y'all are so good, you can leave." And when I was a kid, I was just like, "Oh, okay. I am very good." And now I'm like, "Oh, that's sarcasm."
Yep.
Hey, buddy.
All the dogs love Jody.
Oh, my God. I know where to give the good scratches, I think is what it is. Okay, so you kind of dipped out a little. What was your major in college?
Geology.
Okay.
Which turns out is a really arty science.
Is it really?
It really is. And I think that's why I loved it so much. I can remember I had a class probably as a senior called geomorphology, so studying the landforms and what causes those landforms to be that way. And we would have to go out and draw these intricate cross sections of rocks and color them in a particular way and make these really detailed maps. And it's like, this is the most fun I've had since second grade.
Oh, my God. Wait, this is class?
Exactly.
This is amazing. I didn't even think about that. Like, I love telling this story on my high school art teacher, Miss Waller. She was amazing. But she taught at UT for a while, and she was talking about there's a spot behind the art and architecture building where there are these like 3 hills. I know. 3 hills. And she was talking,
he'll climb right up in your lap. Come here, Charlie.
Come on down, buddy. Down, buddy.
Come here, babe.
Come on.
Come on. Nope.
Oh!
Sorry.
He took his shot. No.
He did. Come on, bud. Lay down.
I wish this was on video now. That leap. Just looped it.
He is a leaper.
Oh, my God.
I have a story about that, but we don't have to talk about it now. You're telling me about the 3 hills.
These 3 hills. We walked out there. Miss Waller was like, "And here's my husband and I's art." And I was like, What? And she was like, "This." I was like, "That's 3 hills." And she was like, "Yeah, we built that." I was like, "You can." I was like, That's not art. Yeah, no, I was like, "That's not art." And then I was like, "Wait, you can call that art?" And she was like, "Yeah." I was like, "That's weird." Miss Waller was very nice, but very weird. So that's not a big shocker.
Good boy.
But yeah, so so the geology, and you said 2 degrees. Do you have a master's?
I have a master's in also geology, structural geology, and I have 2/3 of a PhD as a matter of fact.
Good Lord.
I got tired.
Although I will say, I saw one of my friends who's a comedian say about how he went to community college, and he was like, and it only cost me $5,000. I was like, okay, I went to community college, and I think it cost me about $2,000. Mm-hmm. It's like, wow, that's a difference in age. He's like just a few years younger than me. I was like, and then I start running through. I was like, a friend of mine who just got a master's in speech language pathology. Mm-hmm. And she and I had dinner the night before she was signing the paperwork. She was like, it's $80,000. It's like, oh, it's like,
I was fortunate enough to,
you were in state though. So
I was in state, and that helped, but I also had, I was a graduate teaching assistant, and so they actually paid for my tuition and gave me a salary.
Oh, there you go.
And so I never paid for any graduate school. I had loans through my undergraduate, but
awesome.
I never had to pay for my graduate school.
So now, okay, so the geology, so you get out of college. What did the job market look? What would be some jobs you could get as a...
My main focus was in exploration, oil and gas exploration. And so structural geology tells you where to look for good pockets of gas or reservoirs of oil. And so I worked a couple of summers as an intern at Exxon Mobil.
Okay.
And just before I finished all of my coursework and did my comprehensive exams for my PhD, but I hadn't written my dissertation. And just before I started to write, I guess I'd already started writing my dissertation, the bottom fell out of the oil market as it does.
Okay.
And so there were no jobs at all at that time. And so, I mean, there were, if I wanted to go work like for the state of Louisiana for $25,000 with my PhD.
Yeah. You're like, cool.
Yeah.
You just keep looking at it hanging on the wall. It's like, cool.
And I had gotten married and I had a baby, and I'm trying to write this dissertation for no reason that I could possibly think of. And so decided I was done. I'd done all I needed to do in school.
Good call.
And now, of course, it's much better. The market's much better. People are, I have friends that I graduated with or didn't graduate with who make good livings. A lot of them are academics, with a PhD. They end up being professors somewhere. And my husband has a PhD, and that's plenty for one family. I think
that's enough.
Yeah.
I would love to teach, but even in my profession, you have to have at least a master's to even teach at community college.
Right.
Which hurts me because I have 29 years experience doing graphic design. I'm like, are you telling me a 24-year-old kid knows more about graphic design than
It's
me?
Unfortunate. It really is that they don't take that into consideration, I think.
In a technical field.
Yeah.
I feel like technical fields, there should be like 10 years equals this. 20 years equals... Anyway, I'm going to get off of that. Okay, so now, but I'm going to go back a little bit. Do you remember the first piece you saw as a kid that kind of made you stand up and take notice? Or the first artist that really hit you?
That's a tough one. No.
No, okay.
I really don't.
Was it always just there?
It was always just there. I think the first piece that I can remember, no one else will have ever seen.
Okay.
And it was my brother did a drawing for his art class in high school. And it was whatever the Latin, I can't remember, the more things change, the more they stay the same. You know what I'm talking about? There's a Latin phrase that people like to say, but I can't remember what it is. Anyway, it was like a Neanderthal man in a business suit with a briefcase standing in a city, and a Homo sapiens man in like a loincloth or something standing in the middle of a jungle. And so it was just, to me, I was just like, oh my God, that's just brilliant.
Oh my God. That is great.
And it was all pencil. He never worked in color. He was colorblind, but he almost never worked in color. And, but it was all pencil and charcoal. And it was just, it is the first thing that I can think of that I looked at and thought, oh wow, that is art. I know that's art. I don't know why I know it's art, but I know it is.
Okay. How old do you think you were when you saw that?
I was probably 11 or 12.
So you understood what the difference was between.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You weren't so young that you were like, why is that hairy man next to...
No, I got it. That's probably why it stuck with me, is that I got it. I understood. And I would love to know what happened to that. And I have no idea.
I'm glad some of my old art is nowhere to be seen. Should be burned. I actually did a thing on my business account where I found all the pieces from my portfolio show in college.
Oh, yeah?
And I took pictures of them and critiqued them and was absolutely ruthless.
Oh, my gosh. That would be so painful. There's just...
It was hilarious because I was like,
God.
how hard can I roast this piece? It's like, good Lord, what was I thinking? And then I would find one piece, I was like, that was not bad.
I'm not thick-skinned enough to even do that to myself. I can't do it.
It's all worth it for the likes and the comments. That's all I live my life for, apparently. Okay, art. But did you get into comics or cartoons or anything when you were a kid?
Other than Bugs Bunny.
No, other than Bugs Bunny. I'm always curious because that was my way into.
Yeah.
That was the first art I saw was my dad's Spider-Man from issues from like when he was in the service.
Yeah.
That's the first time I saw art that wasn't the weird shit
I don't remember
had on the wall.
My brother was really into comics and illustrated novels and things, and I just wasn't. I was into word novels. I love to read, but I didn't care for the... And of course, he was reading like Doc Savage, and do you remember Doc Savage?
They've been trying to make a Doc Savage movie for like 20 years with The Rock. And I was like, and I think even 20 years before that, it was always Arnold.
Yeah.
It's like, I would see The Rock. I would see anything The Rock's in.
I would too. I think he's amazing.
Yeah.
Love him.
I would see a The Rock Doc Savage film. Oh God, Doc Savage. So that's a name I've not heard in a while.
Yeah, not a lot of people know who that is, honestly, especially young people these days. But that and Conan the Barbarian he did a lot of drawings out of Conan comics and things.
So, as you know from being on the radio show, I will give you homework. There was a Conan run from the early 2000s. There's this writer, Kurt Busiek, and this artist, Cary Nord, Carynord, and he did like painted in comic books Conan, and it was like, this is, what the hell?
Nice.
This is unbelievable. It's so great. Okay, now we're going to go back forward. But when you were growing up and going to school, were you taking art classes in school? Like in high school or middle school?
No, I never took an art class.
Just did it
other than
home.
like, the typical elementary today class, we're going to glue pieces of paper to this piece of paper, which is great. I highly recommend everybody do that. Yeah. But that's all I had. I'd never had an art class, a formal art class, until after I was married, and I took something through the UT Extension.
Oh, okay. Man. Good Lord. So what prompted you to go and take that class at the UT Extension?
I knew that, I was doing a lot of different, trying to draw, and I got in the books and I was working on it because I felt like I wanted to create things. Yeah. And I wasn't satisfied with just doing, during that time, early 2000s, DIY crafting was really big on TV and everybody's doing all this stuff, and I would do it and then I'd be like, yeah, but it looks like everybody else's. I enjoy the process, but I wasn't enjoying here's the pattern that you need to follow and here's what the outcome is going to look like. Right. And so I'd gotten like Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain by Betty Edwards. Do you know that book? It's a great book. And had realized, okay, I really can do this. You get to the point after you've been away from creating anything for a long time and you think, I can't draw anything. What am I even trying to do here? Well, it turns out I could draw. And so I'm pretty sure that the first class that I took with the UT Extension was just a life drawing class, still lifes and very tastefully draped models and things. They didn't do any nudes for us, but, and it was just the first time I'd really sat and had to observe and try to take that observation and put it down on paper,
Yeah.
as opposed to using a photograph to do the same thing, you know. And it was a great exercise for my brain, and I really enjoyed it. And then I did a watercolor class with them, and what else did I do? Welding. That was fun. A welding.
Holy crap.
Sculptural welding
Okay.
class, and just kind of kept going from there and branching out into different things. Early 2000s, the like art message boards and things were big, and you know, you could make some connections with other artists who were at different levels of skill and ability,
right.
and they would help. You know, he'd upload something and say, I did this thing, and they would go, okay, well, I can see what you did there.
Right.
So it was my first real opportunity to get critique and feedback, as opposed to, you know, my mom. Oh, it's wonderful. It's always wonderful, which is great. That's what moms are for. It's so great. I love it so much. And so it just sort of grew and grew and grew until it was all I wanted to do was make art.
Was there, when you start taking those classes, was there any point, did it ever feel weird? Or how was, I don't know how those kind of classes are built. Is it all a bunch of 18-year-olds in there? Or is it,
no. It's mostly, it's
okay.
set up really for people who are, you know, either retired or just want to learn a new skill as an adult. So no, it wasn't with...
I'm just thinking
college
of
age
punk kids.
No.
Here's what I'm trying to say with my art.
Very few punk. It was, and there was no real thought given. It was just, here's a manky old boot. See if you can draw it and make it look like a manky old boot. There was no real thought to any kind of artistic notion. It was just skill building, really.
Okay. Man, have you gone to any of the Knox Draw events? Where they actually do naked people?
Oh, no, I haven't. I'd like to. I mean, I did another class at the Fountain City Art Center.
Yeah.
And again, they wouldn't put any naked people up there. It was very disappointing. But
well, trust me, Knox Draw does. I think every week it's naked people. And I even, what was it? One of my art friends posted something and tagged the naked person in it. I was like, oh. That's a woman I went out with that I am now friends with on Instagram. Hey, I know her. That's like, and I thought about telling my art friend because she's like 23 or so. I was like, I don't think you're supposed to tag the naked people. Yeah, maybe don't tag the naked people.
At least check first.
I was like, but that's hilarious, and she doesn't care, so she reposted it. She's got an OnlyFans. She doesn't care, but. But that thing was started by a guy I know, Ben Adams, downtown, and then he left and moved back to Australia, New Zealand, and gave it over to some younger people, and they've kept it where it's every Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
They meet at the Central Collective and draw naked people.
That's super cool. I haven't, you know, the thing with art is... you get real passionate about whatever it is that you're real passionate about right then, and then... you find a different track to go down, and then you get real passionate about that, and you forget about the last thing that you were doing, and then you get real passionate about I do. I'm very much an ADHD creator. I'm like, oh, it's shiny. Let me go do that for a while.
Be cool. No. Well, I have bins. I'm going to point to things, even though it's the audio podcast. I have bins of ideas.
Yeah.
Of just like scraps of paper or little sketches.
Oh, I do. Yeah.
That I've joked that I was like, if I went through, and the box of ideas is only this big. It's an old envelope box, a wedding invitation envelope box. And
sit down.
I was like, if I had 3 years and unlimited budget to stuff like where I've designed furniture to where it's like, I don't have to build it.
Right.
Just draw it a little better and hand it over to somebody. I was like, I still wouldn't get everything in there done.
Yeah. No, it's so hard. There's just too many options. Yeah. Not enough time.
No. And so you take that class, you start doing different forms. Was there any one thing you did in those classes? Or like, I know we just said that, but, you know, going a bunch of different ways, but was there any one thing you're like, that's a thing I didn't know I liked and I like it now?
I think that back then, I think I didn't know I was going to like painting as much as I did. I knew I liked drawing. I knew that I liked putting, a pencil to paper. But I didn't know that I was going to enjoy painting as much as I did. And now I very rarely paint, but it was kind of a surprise to me. It was not my expected path. I thought I would do, little drawings and maybe some watercolors, but not, big meaty acrylic paintings. And I really enjoyed that. And I you can see I have stacks of canvases ready to go and just have to find the brain switch to get back to it.
That's why I always laugh about. I'll email people at like 2 a.m. They're like, good Lord. I was like, no, I was on a run, man. I just had to see it through and get it done. And then the minute I hit send, I have a hard time not just passing out my computer. But while I'm on that train of creativity, I gotta you gotta get it out,
or it goes away. That's the thing about it.
You never know. In 3 weeks, you could pull out a canvas and be like,
I've got one ready right there, sitting on the easel,
ready to rock and roll. So that's the problem. It's ready to go.
Yeah.
So it's just yelling at you
exactly
every time you
I
look
need to
at
just
it.
Go throw some ugly paint on it, and then all of a sudden I'll figure out what I want to do with it.
I've got a little block that I have an illustrators meetup that we meet once a month in non-COVID times. I have to send a text tonight. Go, I guess we're not meeting next week. But what one of the people brought a canvas and oil paints, and I had not painted with oil in forever. So I just did what I normally do with acrylic, and or watercolor, and just washed the whole thing. And then I went to put the next layer on. I was like, oh crap, this is oil. 2 hours. Okay. So it's just been sitting in my kitchen. I was like, eventually I'll do it. I was like, can I just put acrylic on top? I was looking at it going, can I just put acrylic on top of that? I can't put damn it.
You could put oil on top of acrylic, but not acrylic on top of oil.
But I was just like, damn it. Well, I screwed that up. Because I actually had my idea in my head of just doing a flame, but I know I would need to do like 4 different colors. I was like, okay, eventually I'll do this. I don't have any oil paint. I'll eventually do this.
That's right.
Oh my God. But yeah, I think it's yelling at you right now.
Yeah, I just mounted that easel recently because it took up so much floor space, and so I just stuck that up there, and now it's mocking me.
Yeah, that's how it goes.
Yep. One day.
This is oh my God. But not today. Not yet.
Today is not that day.
There's the movie Gladiator with Russell Crowe. Have you ever seen it? Okay, I'm going to spoil.
Go ahead. It's been out for years and years.
I was going to say it's been out for 25 years.
Right.
Sorry for the spoiler, people. Russell Crowe dies in the end. I know. Big shocker. But he has a guy who's his best friend, and he goes to like bury something on Russell Crowe's home, or no, I think maybe in the Coliseum. And he says, I'll see you again one day, but not yet. Yeah. It's a very powerful ending. But that's how I keep saying, look at that, go, I'll see you one day, but not yet. Every time you look at that canvas.
I always think of the Lord of the Rings, at the end, when the speech of, there may come a day when the world of men, I don't know the whole thing, but anyway, but today is not that day.
Oh, okay.
You don't like Lord of the Rings?
No.
Jody.
I'm not a fantasy sci-fi person.
Oh.
I do. Here's my biggest hot take. I don't like the Star Wars. I don't know that I like any of them.
Yeah.
And but the hardest one for people to accept, which is not either one of those, and you with a geology background, this is tangential. I realized as an adult, I don't like the Indiana Jones films as much as everybody else does.
Yeah, I like some of them. The first one is just nostalgic. I hate the second one.
The second one's terrible.
So bad.
The third one I actually
love
like.
the third one.
I almost like the third one more than the first one.
Yeah,
it's
that's my favorite. Sean Connery was
River
brilliant.
Phoenix in the beginning.
It's so good.
Yeah.
That's my favorite one. And then the
Crystal
Skull one was just useless.
And they're making another one.
I know.
And he's however old he is. But I think it's like them with the James Bond films. I realized as an adult, I was like, these are boring.
Yeah.
It's hard to watch Fast and Furious 8 and just laugh at it because it's stupid, and then go watch Bond and be like, can we trim some of this out? I don't need 3 people talking in a room for 20 minutes.
I had a conversation
You're killing me,
with
man.
my husband the other day who loves Bond. And I like the new stuff. I love Daniel Craig stuff. But we were watching Dr. No. And,
the OG. Yeah, the
and
OG.
I just looked at him. I said, can you please explain to me what the fuck this film is about? Because there is no plot that I can see. I mean, what?
Other than him smacking women on the butt.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God. I've watched this film I don't know how many times, and I still don't know what's going on. And he really couldn't explain it. It's just a Bond film.
Yeah, it's hard. Here's a crappy thing to say. It's hard after Austin Powers to go back and take the Bond film seriously. They oh God. Yeah. No, Lord of the Rings, sorry. I saw all 3 films in the theater.
Yeah.
I bought all of the special editions because just from a filmmaking perspective, you can almost watch those DVDs and not have to go to film school.
Yeah,
they're
brilliant. They're
in such detail about how they made stuff, and it's insane.
Yeah.
But no, I rewatched a movie he did in the 90s that I really like called The Frighteners with Michael J. Fox. Peter Jackson did it. Robert Zemeckis, who did Back to the Future, produced it, and it's about Michael J. Fox can see dead people. Weird how that works.
Do we know that ahead of time, or do we have to wait till the end to find out?
No, 1995. I think 1995. So it was before Sixth Sense.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's a lot of fun. But it's wild to realize, oh yeah, that's the guy who did Lord of the Rings and Hobbit and all those. Okay. Did that. You found painting enjoyable. Welding. Did you do pottery? Also,
I didn't do pottery until 2015.
Wow. Okay.
And I hadn't really been doing much of anything at that point. My dad had passed, and it was just, grief, and the lead up to it was traumatic, and he had lung cancer, and he was very ill for a long time. And so just trying to figure out how to help them, because they lived in Alabama. We were up here. And so there was just so much going on. Plus I had kids who were starting high school, just a lot. And so art was just not a priority. I also was homeschooling my kids at the time. And so it just, everything revolved around them, and I had kind of gotten away from it. And then after my dad passed, I just felt empty. I just couldn't, there was nothing in the well, and a friend of mine, I guess it was he passed in March. And so it was like in September or so, said, hey, I'm going to go take this pottery class down at Mighty Mud.
Oh, yeah.
Why don't you come with me? Even if you have any interest in doing it, to get you out of the house. You've got your kids both in high school. You've got some time. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I want to hang out with my friend.
Was that at the old building?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And so my son may be coming home. I'm not sure when. So if everybody starts barking, I apologize.
No.
Or he probably heard a car go by. Sorry. Anyway, so I went, and Michael Robison, do you know him? Yeah. Was the teacher, and he's a fantastic potter. Love Michael.
I still owe him. I have his business card somewhere where I owe him an email. Him and his wife, girlfriend, partner,
yeah, Lynette.
I never. Sure. Ran into them at the cigar shop when it was in Merchants of Beer years ago.
Yeah.
When I was still president of AIGA, and I said something about getting kids involved, and they gave me a business card.
Yeah.
And then shortly thereafter, I was no longer. I was like, I can email them, but I don't know what to do with this. And I feel like I should just email them out of the blue and go, don't know if you remember me, because I think I bumped into him a time or two.
Yeah.
Like, still owe you an email. But at this point, you go like, can't remember why I was supposed to email you.
He's
but
great.
Yeah,
I just
he
love
and
him.
they were very nice.
Yeah. So I went to class, and actually my friend didn't come to the first class. She had a family emergency, and so I'm there. I'm like the only student, and he's explaining how to center, how much this is about a pound, and you're going to do this and all the stuff. And so I sat down and I centered my ball of clay, and he was like, "You've done this before." And I said, "Nope, never done it before."
Yeah.
"I know you're lying to me."
Wow.
Like, "I swear to you, I'm not lying to you. That was like the easiest thing I've ever done in my life."
Yeah.
And so that day I pulled my, first walls up and everything and made a vessel. It was junky, and by the time I was done with it, it looked terrible, but I had done it, and I was like, this was really, really good. I don't know what it sparked in my brain, but it definitely sparked something. And so I took, I think, a 6-week class that ended around Christmas, and bought a wheel to bring home because I wanted to keep practicing so I could take my next class, and spent all of, December and half of January, however long the break was between classes, sitting out in my garage, freezing to death, and throwing 1 pound ball after 1 pound ball after 1 pound ball of clay. And I showed back up to class because part of the deal was that you could, fire things that you had made at home.
Yeah.
And show up with this big box, like, "Hey,
I've been
hope
busy.
this is okay."
Yeah.
And then have just been doing it ever since. And so I took a few classes there, and my mom actually ended up buying me a kiln so that I could fire at home.
Yeah.
And then I've gone back occasionally and just topped up some knowledge with them, and have been doing it like crazy ever since.
Oh my God. Have you thought about teaching?
No, I don't like people that much.
Well, thank you for letting me in your home, and I guess I'll see myself out.
I'm very selective, Joey.
Nice.
No, I still feel like, even though it's been almost 7 years, I still feel like I'm new at this. And I know people who teach who have been making pots for 20 years, and not that I couldn't, but it's my own thing. I have to get past,
I understand. Trust me. And so you start doing that really like took hold of you.
Mm-hmm, absolutely.
Okay. But because I keep looking around and seeing more and more stuff.
Right.
But you still do a lot of other art.
Yeah, it's because my studio's in my garage, and if you've seen on Instagram lately, I've been bitching hard about how cold it is, which we've got solved, by the way. So I do have a mighty propane heater right now.
Oh yeah.
It's a little scary.
You just gotta crack the door.
Well, I turn it on for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I turn on my space heaters, and then I turn it off and let it all settle down, and then go out. And the garage actually retains heat pretty well. It just doesn't. It's hard to get it to a
we're
good
talking
temperature.
about the propane itself.
Yes.
I've got a friend that when those things that go on top, the adapters first came out,
right.
we would sit in his garage, and he would crack the garage door open, and we would smoke cigars. But we would point the heater, the two, at us, so we would get the heat.
Right.
But all the stuff would go.
Yeah, this is like one of those, you see at construction sites, it looks like a cannon, and it just shoots out this hot air. It's
those
really,
are
really
awesome.
good.
Okay.
But prior to that,
I would have said football, but I appreciate it.
Prior to that, I wouldn't want to go out there. The water gets really cold. Your hands get really cold. I'm not good in cold, and so I tend to come in the winter and do more two-dimensional art. And lately, I've been doing a lot of digital art on my iPad. I've been doing a lot of digital collages. I may have to show you something, see what you think.
It's Sketch, or what are you drawing in?
I use Procreate. Yeah.
Okay.
And so I do drawing.
Yeah.
But then I've been doing a lot of collage work in Procreate as well.
Okay. Oh my God. In our little weekly group, even though you don't like people, I think
I'm working on that. I'm trying to get better.
I'm trying to think who might hear this. I think most of the people in that group are not people.
Yeah.
So it was started by my friend Rachel. She was the one saying, Rachel and Rob Travis, who own Vivanel Animation, and they do Raucous Radio, the radio show. Yeah. So when I first met them and started talking to them, Rachel is not a very outgoing. She's a very quiet person. And Rob was like, she's been wanting to do like a illustrators meetup group. I was like, okay. And Rob said, I'm encouraging her to do that because she's just sitting there kind of quiet. Rob likes to talk a lot. God love him. And just same as me. And I was like, okay. So I just messaged her. I was like, all right, well, we're doing this.
Yeah.
And I'll invite these people and you invite the people you want to invite. And we're just going to, and it is, I think everybody in that group is very much a, what's it called? Introvert.
Yeah.
And almost all of them work from home.
Yeah.
And it's just hilarious because I'm just like the
lone extrovert in the crowd.
I'm not even an extrovert. I just don't care. I'm tired and I like to. But yeah, like Jimmy, one of the women in the group likes to make fun of me because she was like, you don't shy away from sharing your opinions. Like, I do not. I ain't got time for that anymore. But she loves it. She thinks she calls it hot takes.
Yeah.
She's like, your hot takes are the best. But yeah, I think it's a group of introverts, so you may fit in very well there.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
I consider myself an extroverted introvert. I love to be alone. I recharge by being alone.
Yeah.
That's how I get. But I love talking to people. I just don't know that I'd want to teach a bunch of people. I just,
I don't know. You may do it because I don't think Mighty Mud's classes are not that big, right?
Not usually. I mean, I don't think we ever had more than 6 or 8
That's
in a
what
class.
I was thinking. So it may be.
Yeah. Well, if they ever call, I'll consider it.
Yeah.
I'll tell Barron. Put me on the list. But
so I think Barron's a funny guy in that I think I have met him like 5 or 6 times.
yeah.
I think he never remembers me.
How could you forget you?
A lot of people do.
No,
A lot of
people forget me
do.
all the time. I've known people that I've known for years, and I come up and say, "Hey, how you doing?" They're like,
Yeah.
"Who are you?"
Yeah.
Literally,
Yeah.
"Who are you?" And I'm Diahn, and there's Ron over there, and they're like, "Well, I know him."
That's hilarious.
Okay.
There is a certain
Leave him.
man that owns a design firm here in town, and I've told this to somebody who worked for him before. I stopped counting around 20 or 30 times that I met him. And he never remembered me. I was like, and he's like 6'1" or so. I was like, just remember, if it's a designer and you have to look up, it's him. He still doesn't. Wow. And now there was even one time he was sitting at Balter, and when I walked in and went, hey, like that, he kind of gave me a side eye, like, who is this? And then when I left, he was like, good seeing you, Jody. I was like, what the hell, man? Like, do you know me or not know me? Because you're a psycho. Okay, so you still do some 2D. You've gotten into digital, but still your home base, you feel, is the pottery.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
For now, anyway.
And I'm trying to look. Have you tried a lot of different things, like figuring out, like, is there something you like to do more than anything else? Or is there something you've kind of got niched into doing that?
In pottery?
Yeah.
I don't think I've been niched into anything. All potters make mugs because everybody loves a mug. But I really enjoy making mugs. I mean, for me, I think the whole process of making a mug is great. I've tried a lot of different things. I mean, I think everybody does when they start out. They see something and they want to try that technique or whatever. And so I've done slip trailing on pots. So like the ones up there that have sort of raised design. And I enjoy that, but it's not exciting to me.
Okay.
What I really started enjoying is painting on the pots. I get a little bit of both pottery and some artwork at the same time with the color and everything.
Do you know Amanda Humphries?
I know of her. I haven't met her.
Okay. She was the first person I ever saw that put like photographs on pottery.
Yeah.
I was like, what in the, didn't know that was possible.
Right. Yeah. It's incredible how many different things you can do with a pot.
Oh, I have one friend who has been on the show before, Jamie Bates Sloan, who teaches college. I'm sorry, Jamie. I think it's Oklahoma. God love you. I think it's Oklahoma. She makes female anatomy.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable.
Right.
What she does.
Yeah.
And she has gotten flagged from Instagram.
Oh, I'm sure.
Attempted banning and all that. And that made her make I don't know if it's not really, okay. Now I have to ask. Like the thing that the paintbrushes are in.
Uh-huh.
That's not really a mug, right? That's, what would you call that?
The one with the skulls or the one?
Yeah, the one any one of those.
Well, the one with the skulls I would call a vase. But the other ones I would just call a tumbler.
Tumbler.
Because they don't have a handle.
So the ones she makes are like that big around. Oh, this is great for an audio podcast. So I guess it would technically be a vase. But I think it's because it's got such a heavy base on it. I never think about it that way. But she made one of those, and she made, instead of the female genitalia, you could see the top a little bit, the bottom a little bit, and then it looked censored, so it was just squares.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
That's
oh
good.
my God.
That's good.
I was like, I think I'm a dude. A single dude. I think that's the only one I can have. I don't think I can have one of the very realistic.
Right.
And she was having women like send her pictures
Yeah.
and recreate. I
Yeah.
was like, sweet geez, what is happening? I don't she's the best. She's hilarious.
That's awesome. My other favorite thing to do that I don't do as often as I'd like are these little sculptures. Can you see the little head up there with the hands?
I can see the hands. Good God.
There's some behind you hanging on the wall.
It's the detail. That's wow.
That I call them deer fence because they're infants with sort of deer antlers, but they're made out of hands.
Oh my God.
They're a little bit insane, and I think that's why I like them so much. I recently sold one. I was so excited. I mean, I do them for me, these particular ones, and somebody actually bought one. I was just thrilled.
So would you ever take that and paint that? Or would that be too hard to...
Paint the actual physical item?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, kind of like with these.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like these...
Just being stark white?
Just being the white, because it kind of is reminiscent of bone, and I have a kind of fascination with that, too. If you look at that wall, you might notice.
Yeah. Although I kind of want you to take that to like a carm and just give it to them.
What's that? That?
One of those.
Because I got that at Carm,
I was
the
going to
deer
say,
head.
just wait to find it. Because a friend just added me to this group called like Weird Thrift Store Finds.
Yeah.
And you'll find stuff like that. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Or it'd be like a baby's head with...
I'm always on the lookout for taxidermy. I think that's just great, And so when I found that deer skull at the Carm in Lenore City, it was like $4. So like, oh my God.
I can't believe it must have came that day.
I am shocked. I was shocked that I found it.
That's interesting. Although now that you say that, I bet if you go to some more rural Carms, you can probably find
more
stuff like that.
Taxidermy stuff.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. One of my friends posted, my friend Caitlin, who's a photographer, she posted, and she had like 4 skulls on her, human skulls. Mm-hmm. I was like, where the hell? I didn't know you had those. Like, why are you not photographing those,
You can
man?
buy them on anywhere. I mean, I've seen them on eBay and Etsy,
Really?
I think. You can buy human skulls, yeah.
That's so weird.
I don't know how it's okay, but
feels
apparently
creepy.
it is. It does feel creepy.
Yeah. It's like somebody's brain was right here. Oh, my God. Okay, I'm going to have to stop petting you for a second so I can...
Sorry about that. German shedders, they call them.
I'm going to put that right back there.
Yep.
Because I'm bald, so I don't want to... do you set up like goals or a checklist?
Well, it's funny you should ask that, Jody.
Yeah.
I never really have. I sort of freewheel stuff, But this year I decided I got the book, The 12-Week Year.
Okay.
Do you know this book?
No.
The 12-Week Year. And so it's the whole premise behind it Come here, little escape artist. Don't go over there and disturb the peace. The whole idea behind it is that instead of setting like a yearly goal, which seems so big, and then you break your year up into quarters, and you schedule your quarter as if it were a year. So each week is a month.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And it's just a different way to view things, and then you do a check-in and make sure that you're on track. And so, you set up some goals, and then every week check in with yourself on how you did with those goals. And if the idea is if you get 85% of it, then you're in really good shape. It's not 100%, it's 85%, which I like. I'm like, 85, I can do it 85. And so I started that this year. And so I have set some goals.
I did when I turned 39, I made a 40 before 40 list.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my friends ripped on me for putting stuff on there that she deemed unattainable. And I was like, why not put stuff on the list? Like one of them was just, here's something you can mock me. I've never been out of this country, except for one time I went to Canada for about an hour. I drove over, my cell phone didn't work, which it was supposed to. Couldn't get GPS. I was like, I'm not going that far deep into Canada.
Oh, Canada's so great, though.
Because I knew I had to get to my uncle's, to my aunt and uncle's house. I was like, I don't want to risk getting lost.
Yeah.
Like, and I have relied on GPS for too long. I'm pretty good at navigation.
So there's these things, they fold
Maps,
up and they put them in the dashboard.
But here's the question.
Thing,
When you go to the Canada, where do you find a map? That would be the next question. Because I think I went
Tim Hortons.
I went to Tim Hortons, and they did not have any maps. And I actually had the weird question. I walked in, and I was like, I would like donuts and coffee. And this is still the fun. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm going to bore you with my Canada story. But that was one. I'll come back to say that was one of my things. So I think 85% is not bad because you're always shooting for stuff that could be unattainable.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? I mean... What's the saying, shoot for the moon. If you miss, at least you're out among the stars kind of thing. I mean, I think you have to set big goals for yourself in order to grow as a person. Otherwise, you just stay in your own little pond and you don't progress anywhere.
You don't grow.
Right.
Yeah, that's, there was, good Lord, dating stories. There was an artist that I dated that she had something she could do that she could knock out really quick and it sold really well. Mm-hmm. And she was like, now it's boring to me. I don't want to do it. I was like, but that can pay for the other thing.
Right.
So why don't you do that? And because she was not a goal person.
Yeah.
I was like, why don't you do that one day out of the week?
Right.
Knock out a bunch of them. And then the other 4 days, you can do whatever exploring you want to do.
Yeah.
That should be what your week looks like. She was like, yeah, but those are boring to me because they actually sell. And then she would complain about not having any money.
Right.
You're an idiot. Okay.
Well, and that's, it's it's hard to break out of a routine.
Right.
I'm seriously ADHD. And so my way of dealing with that, I'm undiagnosed. I'm self-diagnosed.
Oh,
but
same.
my son is diagnosed, and I know exactly where
I am
everything...
undiagnosed that and OCD.
Yeah. And so my way of dealing with it is to be fairly regimented in the way I approach my life. I have, I get up at a certain time every day. I do the same thing at the same time every day. I have certain things that I do on Monday and certain things that I do on Tuesday. And it's so that those things actually get done. But the downside of that is that you get locked into sort of a mindset of, well, it doesn't really matter if I get out on the wheel today and make anything because, it's not like I got to do this to eat.
Right.
Thankfully, I don't. I have a husband who has a good job and I don't have to work. But if you keep that mindset, then you just never progress. You never do anything, right? Well, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it tomorrow. This dog, he's so needy.
No, I'm laughing because I have been, I love the phrase, the cobbler's kids have no shoes.
Right.
I have been trying to do my own self-marketing for my business since last July. Mm-hmm. And the same 2 items on my to-do list have been pushed back. It's almost February.
Right.
They are still on my to-do list. Now they're this Friday.
Yeah.
If I can get not Friday, Thursday.
Well, and that's what's shifted for me in reading this book is that instead of, because what I was doing, again, having been a wife and mother and raising children and homeschooling children, both my kids are in college. I'm not responsible for these people. They're in their 20s, you know. But my mindset is still that of, oh, well, I have to do these things so that everybody's world ends up in order.
Just trying to give you high fives. That's what it looks like on this end. It's just
he
like
wants to sit in my lap,
but
he gets right up in my face, so he can't right now. So anyway, I have had to actively shift out of that mindset of when I get done with all of these responsibilities that I have as a wife and mother, then I'm going to go out and do some creating and flip the script and say, when I get done with my creative work that I want to do and enjoy the most, then maybe I'll vacuum. But likely I won't.
That's what I see a robot. I can never remember what they're called.
Yeah, that's a knockoff one.
Yeah,
Roomba. Yeah, it doesn't help. It helps a little bit, but when you have a German Shepherd, it doesn't really do much for you.
Oh, my friends have cats,
and
they're like, before the Roomba, it was a nightmare. Now that we have a Roomba, it's a game changer.
Yeah, well, it like I said, it helps, but you see what's happening.
Yeah.
And this is in winter when he should be retaining his coat, so you should see the summertime. But that's kind of the biggest shift that I've made is prioritizing my creative work over. Would you stop?
She's
what are you doing, kid?
Full of energy.
He is.
He is.
Yes.
Sorry.
That's all right.
I'm going back and forth. Oh my God.
Tail. There we go. Okay, come here.
So that is like short-term goals, but do you also have long-term goals? Like in the next 10 years, I would like to do this.
I do.
Okay.
I'm not sure I'm ready to share those
yet.
Okay.
Okay. Don't have to.
But I did write them down.
Okay.
But midterm kind of goals, I think one of the things that I really, really want to do is get out into the art community here more than I have been. And it's especially, since all the pandemic stuff started, it's been so much easier to not get out there.
Yeah.
And so that's one of my goals is to start connecting with more other makers.
Okay.
Because, Knoxville's full of creative people.
Yeah, there's a handful. And so in that vein, are there people you would like to work with? It doesn't even have to be Knoxville on a bigger scale. Is there like somebody you're like, I would love to work on a line with this company?
I don't know. I haven't thought that kind of big.
Yeah. So that came out of one of the, because you'll understand this a little bit. One of my friends texted me. If I had my old phone, I could pull up the text. I should have screen grabbed it. But it was, how has Oreo not hired you?
That is a good question.
And I was like, and so that made me make a dream clients list. And that's one of my goals. Whenever I actually do self-work is to once a week do a dream client piece. Because it's not going to be like Nike.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. My top two are Oreo and Waffle House.
Very nice.
Those are my top two.
Yeah.
And I think beyond that, there's sports teams, of course.
Right.
Because I love the Bears and I love the Dodgers. I know a little bit too much of the inner working for the Vols. I would love to do something for the Vols, but I don't know that I would be allowed to do what I would want to do. And I was like,
Well, and that's sort of my thing. I would be hesitant. I see a lot of potters and other artists who make deals with like Target or with whoever, or they really branch out and they become a commercial success. That sounds great, but you lose so much creative control in that process. And the whole point for me is the creative control. And I don't know. Would I turn Target down if they said, hey, design a line of X for us? Probably not, because I'm not dumb. But would it be the most enjoyable thing that I've done? Probably not, unless they want to start manufacturing some deer fence and, Have you
bought deerfent.com?
I haven't.
Okay,
Shit.
Before this podcast comes out, you got to buy Deerfent and get all the social media handles. That's
all right.
where I'm gonna fuss at you about that. You got to own that space.
I need to. That's a good point.
I had a talk. I've got a buddy that's, God love him, but he's a well, actually guy. The other night, and I was saying something. I mentioned Target, and he was like, "How hard would it be for you to do artwork for Target?" And I was like, "Oh, we're just imagining shit at this point." And he was like, "No, it shouldn't be that hard, and you should be able to do it." I was like, "You're an idiot." I was like, "I'm in this world. I understand this world. In my world, it's you have to be a big enough artist, illustrator, to get an illustration agent who then will headhunt. But a lot of it's the art director has to like your artwork."
Right.
I was like, because I was making fun of, I don't think this person will ever listen to this, but I heard on a podcast a very well-known artist go, "Oh, if, I don't understand. If people are struggling with money, they should just sell art to Target." Sure. Like, it's simple.
Right.
And I think it was, I explained to my buddy the difference of people who have to earn their bread.
Yeah.
Versus, like, I was like, yeah, it's not that easy. It's not that easy. Okay, 10-year goals. Shoot, now I've already... What did you call it? Not baby fant.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Deerfent.
Deerfent.
Good Lord. I was doing the wrong thing.
That's right. I got distracted by my dogs. Yeah. So
Deerfent. So that's your goal for the next 10 years is for Deerfent to be
a
on
line,
the tip of everybody's tongue.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good goal. Is there anything you'd like to see more of in art? Even could be in what other people are creating.
Again, that's just such a hard thing. I think I would like to see more. I don't know. I was going to try to bullshit there for a minute, and it just fell apart.
Don't you know that's all this is? I'm just sitting here bullshitting the entire time.
I think, in the commercial space, let's just talk about that. So in the everybody's got it on their wall kind of thing, rather than what you see in a gallery or a museum space or something. I would love to see more just of the artist's personality.
Okay.
They're maybe a little grittier, a little more authentic than.
A little less live, laugh, love.
A little bit. If all that went away at some point.
What do you have against reclaimed barnwood and shiplap? I don't understand.
I kind of like shiplap occasionally. I have some in my house, but
I really don't.
I
think I had to Google shiplap because I just knew it as a joke.
Well, I used it as inexpensive backsplash material instead of tiling.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's great.
My God.
But yeah, just more. I would love to see people connect with a piece of art, even if it's in the public. Like everybody has it. Rather than go, oh, I want that because I saw it on Instagram. I want that because, man, that really speaks to me, and that has meaning to me. I've certainly been guilty of buying art to fill a space rather than buying art because it moved me in some way. But it's so hard to find commercially available art that I can afford that has some sort of depth of meaning behind it.
Okay. That makes sense. It's, I think the art hanging up in my parents' house, the stuff that that's not mine, or that I've given them, is either UT related or it looks like something that was sold in a Kmart in 1982.
Right.
They still have a piece in their bedroom that I'm like, please let me put up something else in there. It's like, because I think it was literally just to fill a wall.
Yeah.
And it had the right colors to match what they own.
Right.
But they don't own any of that stuff anymore.
Right.
So it's like, you're killing me, man.
Yeah. This house doesn't have a lot of wall space for art.
Yeah.
And I find that frustrating. And then you get out of the habit of looking for art to buy that moves you. And so I have a wall in the living room that we had put like built-in bookcases, and I had all sorts of things on it. And recently I realized that was preventing me from collecting art because I don't have anywhere to hang it.
Yeah.
I'll see something, I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. But I don't have any space for it, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm about to rip those bookshelves out.
Oh my God.
this week.
Oh, you're killing me with that. Oh God. I cannot, I just moved from one bedroom to another, and I'm looking around going, I need like 3 more bookcases. I just keep buying bookcases.
I know. Well, and I have bookcases I have a den upstairs. And so I do have bookcases and places for the books to go, but I'm having this just need to open up some wall space and find some really cool art and start collecting and not feeling like, oh, I need to fill that space. I want to make a definite collection of things that's going to go in that space.
Or you could be like me, and I have 3 boxes that are 50 by 30 underneath my bed that are just all art.
All art, yeah.
concert posters.
Yeah, I'd take some of those.
All kinds of. I have 3 boxes of those, and they're 1.5 inches, 2 inches deep.
Yeah.
And that I bought from B&H. That I'm just like, I've got to put these in something because I'm tired of just a stack of art.
Yeah.
And as I did that, I started looking through. I was like, huh. I got some good pieces in here.
Art shouldn't be hidden away.
If only I can't afford the frames. That's what kills me.
Well, I mean, there are ways. You see these little frames. Yeah. These are great just for until you get what you need to get the actual frame, just to get it on the wall.
I think I also have a very weird living room that's not, I wouldn't call it necessarily shotgunny, but it's kind of shotgunny. Mm-hmm. And so my OCD-ness would kill me on hanging up like all the art.
Yeah. I have a hard time with that as well.
And it's the weird thing of I have a lot of big pieces, so you can only hang up so many big pieces.
Right.
And not have room with, I don't know. It's the same thing. It's same. Yeah. So don't be like me and just collect them and then be like, oh, I have this. I didn't know I had that.
Totally forgot about that.
Although there are some I have that I'm like, I should probably sell that. I think that's worth a lot of money now. It's like weird concert posters, but trying to think of a more. I can't go out on making it about me. Good, sweet Jesus. I listened to the podcast I posted today, and it started out with me complaining because on Apple Podcasts, there's 1 2-star review, and it's driving me nuts. I was like, that's somebody crapping on me because I talk about me. I guarantee it. Too much.
Did they leave a
Nope. No
just
review.
The stars. Oh,
just
they
the stars.
Suck.
Yes.
They suck.
Whoever it is,
just
they
ignore
suck.
that. That's just some asshole.
Yeah.
Trying to mess with your day.
Oh my God. Okay. So, Deerfant. Have you seen the mugs that have like a kraken on the inside? So when you're drinking your coffee.
So you can, those are fun.
If there was a big enough bowl, a punch bowl or something that you could put a Deerfant.
For a Deerfant head.
At the bottom.
I feel like I have a lot more Deerfants in me and a lot more.
Yeah.
I started making them. There may be one in there. I'll show you in a little bit that are like busts like you would find in a museum, and making up little backstories for them. And that's one of the ones that I sold was like that. It was like the queen of the Deerfants, and it was her.
Okay.
They make me very happy.
But I'm telling you, there's part of me. I'm not going to sell you on this because I'm not a good salesperson. There's part of me that wants to do light touches of paint, like paint the fingernails, like do little things like that. Like the head would still be
maybe the flowers.
But I was thinking like even just the lines in the flower. Just something lightly to where like. Is that? But the fingernails are like that.
Well,
would
and
be
these are older ones. These are they have that gloss glaze on them, and I didn't like it when it came out with the gloss, and so my new ones come out with no glaze, and so they look more like bone.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like the skull mugs up there. They've got that kind of flat sheen to them, but yeah, maybe a little.
Just a little touch.
Little touch. I'll try it. Why not?
Like gold front tooth on the skulls.
On the skulls, yeah.
I'll have to look through. My friend Hannah and I, she is obsessed with the skulls.
Uh-huh.
And I like some of them, and she and I talk too much, so I'd probably not be able to find it. But I found this one artist who did all these skull pieces that I was like, holy shit. I don't know who this dude is. I can't afford their work. But good God, I want to just go to Kinko's and go, can you print me out a copy of this? Because I can't afford. Hell, I can't afford. I don't think the dude does prints, but I'll see if I can find it. And send it to you, because it's glorious. It's like I want to think like a skull matador.
Oh, nice.
Or something. It's like insane. I'm probably making that up, but
my mom was asking me the other day, what is it with you and the skulls? And I was like, I really don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know when it started. All of my pieces have a skull on them. Every single thing I make has a skull. So if you look at that coffee mug right there on the right, on the handle at the top, you see the little skull?
Yep.
So they all have that, and
that's your
it's
thing.
just become a thing that I do, and but I can't explain it. I don't know where it comes from. It's just there. I like them.
I'm the only artist in my family, so there's a lot of my life, which is like, what?
Why?
What is that?
I don't know.
Why are you doing that? I don't know. I can't explain any of it. The cigarette packs that I post.
Those are, somebody lost their smokes.
Yeah, somebody lost their smokes. And I think even my dad, I had a gallery showing, and half of it was cigarette packs and half of it was what I call cloud porn.
Yeah.
And Dad walked in and he was just like, okay. And he walked over and looked and he's like, oh, that's pretty. I was like, yeah, for every one of you, there's another person going, he gives a shit about clouds, but the cigarette
the
packs,
cigarette pack.
those are my jam.
Again, it's kind of gritty. It says something that you notice those things, I think. And that's what I like about them, is that it gives a little insight into your personality, that you notice those things. Like I saw a discarded whiskey bottle at Weigel's one day sitting on top of a bush, and the first thing I thought of was, oh, Jody would take a picture of this. And so I did.
Oh, the amount of times that I have stopped in the middle.
Or in the grocery store, and I'm like, oh, there's a pack of donuts right there with the vegetables. I wonder.
I'm trying to remember.
Jody would love that.
I've got a folder in Dropbox
I bet you do.
of a ton of those. I'm trying to remember what I got the other day when I went to the grocery store. Oh, it was blackberries in a Reese display.
Yeah, I would have made that choice too.
I was like, what in the hell are these? Yeah, I thought I took one other one, but I guess not. Oh, God. Apparently I took 3 screen grabs on the way over here because I can see maps. It's like, when did I do that? Again, ADHD, fellow ADHD person. Yeah.
It happens.
Thank you for being on.
Always happy to talk with you. All right, he's in the lap now.